I am exhausted. That is, if you couldn't tell by my voice, demeanor, or Darth Vader like energy. And it's not for some bad, nefarious reason. It's actually good exhaustion, if that exists. And I'll tell you why. But more importantly, what you can do if it happens to you. Good deal, right? We'll see if the voice makes it. Yo, 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 what is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run liftandbalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and longevity and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic way. Now, let me provide a little more context. This good type of exhaustion is the byproduct of 2 consecutive staying up way past my bedtime nights to celebrate a few longtime friends getting married. Seeing all the people that I used to spend nearly every day with and now only get to see a few times a year in person. Time well spent when we consider the importance of good social connections when it comes to that longevity thing we talk about so much. That being said, running on consecutive nights of 4-hour sleep isn't in any guru's health and vitality blueprint. Mainly because it comes with a laundry list of effects which not only make us feel physically and mentally drained, but also mess with our cellular and metabolic self, making us operate less efficiently. The opposite trajectory of where we want to be going. So, being that I'm living it right now, setting the stage so perfectly, I figured we might as well walk through my tactical strategy to minimize the effects of life running the internal tank to empty, and talk about some specific things I do to recover, knowing very well that there is no way to supplement the OG original health and longevity gangster of high quality sleep. But also that there are certainly ways to re-achieve your baseline faster and minimize the biological hangover, which gets worse if you have a societal defined hangover. Yeah, so without further ado, let's explore some ways to bring your biological boat back afloat. And I'm not gonna lie, the first one may sound a little bit crazy, but hear me out. When it comes to waking up the next day, no matter how late I'm out stuck lifing the night before, I make it a priority to wake up the same time that I always do. This often means that I will be getting under my 7.5-hour sleep goal and doing it intentionally. And I'll tell you why. This is all in an effort to keep my internal body clock in sync, because the circadian disrupting effects of sleeping into the early hours of the afternoon could potentially wreak more biological havoc in the days to come, extending the hangover, so to say. So I make sure I get up at the same exact time as I always do, and perform the same morning routine that I always do, consisting of hydration, movement, sunlight, and meditation. A protocol that we talk all about, along with its biohacking effects in this breakdown here. And at this point, you may be thinking, so you're doing what you always do, just tired. Here is where I want to call out the pure power of building healthy habits, routines, and rituals, and doing it in a sustainable, life-lasting way. Because they not only get you vibing efficiently at the cellular and metabolic level like you always could, but also lie the foundation for a faster recovery from late nights, but also illness, injury, and the embarrassment of trying to do the worm on the dance floor. It's harder than it looks. Getting back on track, at this point I usually make my first adjustment, and it's to badonkadonking, or exercise, something that I do in some way, shape, form, or manner religiously every single morning, knowing that almost every single aspect of physical performance is impaired when operating on deprived sleep and a modern day hangover, including strength, coordination, power, and focus. I downshift my usual intense bout of sweat by kettlebells to something much lighter and manageable. This could be some light bodyweight work, hitting the trail for a hike or a walk with the doggo. These recovery days are sponsored by the themes "Any movement is good movement" and "Live to move another day." No need to risk a kettlebell or heavy object falling on a toe or head for that matter, because that would be kind of counterproductive in the grand scheme of things. No? On the topic of movement, I like to do it, as always, or as much as I can, outside, soaking up all of the biologically boosting and energizing benefits of nature. So, sticking with the normal routines of moving and eating outside is key for me on these recovery days. Next, we return back to the comfort of consistency and follow the same structured eating protocol as I would any other day. And if you're interested, my current strategy is highlighted in this breakdown here. But essentially, it's following a 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. feeding window comprised with an array of real whole nourishing foods. Something that, as you probably know firsthand, you don't typically crave when you're tired, exhausted, hungover, and straight up out of it. And that's for a reason. Because deprived sleep, alcohol, and a disaligned body clock alter our physiological and biochemical self in a way that not only increases our cravings for energy-dense, ultra-processed foods, but also impairs our metabolic self to be less efficient, insulin resistant, and more catabolic, increasing stress, decreasing mitochondria function and efficiency, and prioritizing the breakdown of lean tissue over other energy sources like fat. Things that more shitty eating will only exacerbate. So again, setting these standards around your dietary habits, specifically what you eat and when you eat, is critical for making biologically supporting choices when your decision making and willpower is impaired, bringing truth to the notion that good recovery starts long before anything happens, allowing you to make good choices in the moment of cellular and metabolic weakness because you are programmed to do so, vying for nutrient-rich organic fruits, veggies, nuts, and legumes, grass-fed free-range meats, poultry, and wild fish over their tasty but recovery inhibiting ultra processed counterparts. I also like to add some supplements these days to provide an extra boost for my more vulnerable or overactive immune system, a common byproduct of deprived sleep. So I typically add the following on these days: a Thorne men's multivitamin, between 1,000 and 5,000 IU of vitamin D, and trace minerals including zinc and magnesium to provide some extra support. The next knob that I like to adjust on these days is my caffeine and nap strategy, which normally consists of a few cups of tea or coffee before 11 a.m. and no naps. On these recovery days, I tone down the caffeine to 1 cup or so before 9 a.m. and aim to sneak a 30 to 90 minute nap between the hours of 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. This is an attempt to add a supplementary sleep cycle and some extra rest while still keeping my circadian alignment. The key is finding a good window which allows you to get some additional rest without impeding on sleep later that night. And a few interesting evolutionary theories argue that a mid-afternoon siesta is actually wired into our biology, suggesting that our ancestors napped on most days right around this time. Another way I like to supplement some good physiological stress without doing anything extreme or moving at all for that matter is through heat and cold exposure. I typically spend some time in the sauna and follow with a cold shower on these recovery days, not only as a way to improve acute focus, but because this combo has been shown to elicit many similar responses to healthy activities like exercise without the physical crushing a toe risk. So, after making sure I am properly hydrated, I like to add 20 minutes of sauna, followed by 2 to 5 minutes of a cold shower to my recovery day. Lastly, we touch on that even more magical time when you're exhausted, bedtime. As a byproduct of staying firm on that wake time and keeping that internal body clock ticking intact, naturally, I am more than ready for a good high quality rest by the time evening hits. In fact, often, I'm ready a little early. On these days, I like to try and go to bed a tad bit earlier. typically to the tune of 30 to 60 minutes, giving my body the extra recovery time if needed. And I find this can be difficult to do if you sleep several hours past your normal wake time. So being successful here can very well be dependent on how you start your day. And with that, the soul-searching question becomes, are you putting yourself in a position to recover fast and efficient? Because, for the most part, minus a few tactical hacks to deploy following a late night on the town, or 2 consecutive weddings hours away from home challenge, the best defense is a good offense. Slowly and sustainably building the habits, rituals, and routines that set your standard as feeling good, refreshed, and restored every day, making you crave real foods, movement, nature, and high quality sleep because you crave feeling good. You've experienced how the human body is capable of feeling, and you never want to give that up. These are the most important factors which will make or break your recovery in the moment of need. The goal being to set these healthy rituals on autopilot to the point where you don't even need to think. You just do, because you're likely not going to be thinking clearly anyway when you're exhausted. It's just the biological odds, especially when it's 2 nights in a row. Trust me. So get out there and go own it.